What is special about Ebonite that makes it desirable for using it in a nib feed? Why don't you take this one a little bit, Drew? I feel like you mess around with nibs quite a bit.
I mean, for one, it's almost exciting because you don't see it as much anymore. So just mentioning an Ebonite feed in something kind of gets you excited.
It's special, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, it's kind of the way things used to be. It's, you know, and a lot of people, you know, feel like the vintage pen is kind of like the gold standard in many ways. So hearing that come back is always kind of like, yeah, all right, they're doing it right. They're putting Ebonite in there.
Yeah.
But realistically, it's semi-porous. What's a better word for that?
Hygroscopic would be the scientific word.
That's why he's got this down.
That's why I get paid the big bucks here. Yeah.
So it does, you know, facilitate the ink flow a little bit better, being semi-porous like that.
Yeah.
And you know, as you probably know, it's a hard rubber. It's not a plastic. So that, you know, in itself brings about several different physical elements that you can't do with plastic, like the ability to heat set. You know, it has a memory. You know, if you heat it up, you can literally bend it to almost a 90-degree angle. Let it cool. It feels rock hard, and you heat it up again, and it, you know, gets straightened out again.
Yeah.
Which is really cool for adjusting the space in between the nib and the feed, making sure that the nib's not too far apart from the feed. You can just kind of get the feed to exactly where it wants to be.
Yeah, it's a lot more workable material.
Definitely.
You know, it's kind of like, I guess, working with like wood or something, you know, because it's more of a natural material.
Yeah.
It's easier to, you know, shape and carve and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
carving. And if you've ever tried to carve a feed, like if you bought a Noodler's pen, some of the instructions, Nathan actually says, hey, open up the channels a little bit. You can get a razor blade and kind of go to town in there. But you could also, if you have a Dremel or something with a very, very thin bit, you can just, you know, you can actually carve it out with an electrical tool. If you did that with a plastic one,
do it, you're in risk, of course, by the way.
But you know, as far as making it, like you'll melt a plastic feed. You know, that thing's not going to hold up at all.
And I mean, you can like use an X-Acto knife and try to open up the feed channel on a plastic feed, but it's usually doesn't go well.
No,
I haven't heard of a lot of success.
No, Ebonite has a habit, and like you can knock out fins too. It's a little more brittle, so you can kind of like just kind of pop them out. I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, so really, I think to summarize it all, a lot of the benefit is just ink flow. It's just all around better, more consistent ink flow. That's a lot of the benefit of doing it. But you don't see it a lot on pens these days because it's a more expensive material.
You know what I usually say?
Okay.
I say it's kind of like a cast iron skillet. You know, because cast iron skillet, you kind of don't really clean that much, and like the more it gets used, it just kind of things work better with it.
Okay.
Because cast iron's kind of slightly porous as well. It builds up that nice.
There you go.
I don't know.
That's a pretty good equivalent.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
and like a cast iron skillet, like they don't make it as more. It's, you know, it's more expensive, and you know, it's got other things, but
it's the cast iron skillet of fountain pen feeds.
I bet that's the first time that metaphor has ever been used. So
nailed it.
Good job, Drew. This is the extra special sauce you're getting on the Drew flavored Q&A here. Just a shout out to a couple of pens that we know have Ebonite feeds.
Right.
The Noodler's ones, like Drew mentioned. So all the Noodler's pens have Ebonite feeds. Nathan feels really strongly about that. Also, the Aurora Optima that we're going to be coming out with soon has an Ebonite feed, which is a red Ebonite feed too, which is also kind of cool. Nice little aesthetic thing there. And then Omas, which is no longer around, but we used to carry Omas. They had Ebonite feeds too. That was a huge plus of having those. Other than that, there's some pens here and there, but I can't think of anything that's like
reliably
super
Ebonite.
Like top of mind is Ebonite. Yeah. So that should give you everything you need to know about Ebonite feeds.